Properties are vanishing, and it's become astonishing. I've got two jarring charts to point out this major disappearance problem. And these were good property types too. It's the degree to which it's happening that you probably aren't aware of. I'll also tell you why it's personally concerning to me, why this is going on at all, and why I don't see any reason that it's going to turn around. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, Get Rich Education founder, Forbes Real Estate Council member, best-selling author, and longtime real estate investor. For way too long now, too many home builders have thrown their duplex, triplex, and fourplex development plans out the window like it's an apple core on a summer road trip. 2 to 4 unit properties are vanishing. Look at the first of the jarring charts. In 2007, the number of 2 to 4 unit properties built fell off a cliff, flatlined, and it still hasn't gotten up. The amount constructed now is still just 1/2 to 1/3 of what it had been in the pre-global financial crisis years, and some call this phenomenon MMM, multifamilies missing middle. Whatever you call this disappearing act, these construction stats are sourced by the National Association of Home Builders. Now, I have another staggering and related chart to show you soon, and I'll tell you about the important reasons for this vanishing of duplexes to fourplexes. But I've got to tell you that this disappearance hurts a little personally because I began my real estate investing career with a fourplex. It was my first ever home, first ever property that I owned of any kind, where with just a 3.5% down payment, because I didn't have a lot of money, making that tiny down payment on the whole building, I lived in one unit, rented out the other 3, and it was just an amazing way to start with a bang. And before we're done today, I shot a separate video on how exactly you can still do that too, which I'll tell you about. Now let's see how this builder activity compares with single family homes. So smaller properties, that's the blue line, and larger 5+ unit apartment buildings, the yellow line. They both fell around 2007 and 2008, just like the black line did. The black line is our 2 to 4 unit properties here again. Overall, more single family homes and 5+ apartments are built, sure, but those two property types got back up and resumed more building. The black line, 2 to 4 units, did not. No recovery. And you can also see that all 3 types have a hard time hitting levels that they did 30, 40, and 50 years ago, which is emblematic of an overall housing shortage today. All right, so why is this going on with the vanishing 2, 3, and 4 unit property construction? Why the trend? Well, first, it's NIMBYism of single-family homeowners. Once people are comfy owning their single-family home, well, they don't want higher density 2 to 4plexes built in their area. It can lower their property values and increase traffic. The second reason is that there's simply been less building overall for almost every housing type. I've discussed why that is in other videos. The third reason for these vanishing 2 to 4 unit properties is the need for zoning reform and the adoption of what is called light touch density. That's a zoning strategy for more dense housing. The fourth reason is that builders find more scale efficiencies with larger apartments. And fifth is limits in the international builder codes and international residential codes. Sixth is, though this trend began around 2008, more recent work from home lifestyles starting in 2020 means that residents can live in single family homes further from the urban core rather than in 2 to 4 unit properties. That could mean that this trend just continues. So there they are, 6 reasons why fewer 2 to 4 unit properties are built today. And look, I lament this fact because see, duplex to fourplex neighborhoods, they can have good walkability where you don't need a car to get everywhere. and yet at the same time, they have ample green space. And now conversely, some fourplex neighborhoods look pretty junky when they all have different owners, and then there are dumpsters all over the place on these fourplex streets. But I do hope that builders become more attracted to this space. See, for one thing, with giant, large apartment complexes, say 300 units, the builder has to wait until all the construction of all 300 units are done until they can start filling it with rent-paying tenants and then start getting that income. Well, construction for missing middle housing, well, that can be broken into phases. Units can be opened when they're complete, providing early rent revenue to the builder. 2 to 4 unit properties, they are an investor sweet spot, but due to these builder and lifestyle trends, fewer are being built new. But you know, there were many missing middle properties built decades ago, and they can still make good investment properties well into the future. There are just going to be fewer of them going ahead. In fact, the first 2 fourplexes that I bought were both built in the mid-80s. And like I touched on, a fourplex, that's essentially the largest property that you can buy with a tiny 3.5% down payment, and you can still get a fixed rate mortgage on that for 30 years. If you have VA benefits, Veterans Administration, you can even buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex with 0 down rather than 3.5% down FHA. And your credit score doesn't even have to be that high for either of those programs. But the better your credit score, the lower the interest rate. And I would know about all this because it's exactly how I began. And if you want to know if it's worth doing yourself, watch this where I break it down for you step by step. How to buy a fourplex with a 3.5% down payment. That video is right here.